Is it a case of fact meeting fiction? A stunning new twist tonight in the mysterious murder of a New Jersey chemist. Let's go straight to Rebecca Gomez for the very latest on this. Rebecca.
Rita, it is a tale guaranteed to give you extra goosebumps on a chilly winter's night. The kind of story from the pen of a fiction writer run amok. The only problem with this New Jersey scenario is its uncanny resemblance to reality. Consider this. About 6 months ago, the hit TV show Law & Order Special Victims Unit shot a grisly scene inside the Passaic Valley Water Commission plant. The scene involved a corpse floating in a water purification tank. Before you say, sounds like another Law & Order, consider this. About 10 days ago, divers found the body of a chemist at the bottom of a 35-foot deep water purification tank at, guess where? The Passaic Valley Water Commission. A spokesman for the commission calls it, quote, an unfortunate coincidence. The victim of the tragic real-life homicide is Gita Angara, a 43-year-old mother of three who immigrated to the U.S. from India in search of a better life for her family. At the Water Commission, she monitored the daily treatment of 83 million gallons of drinking water, making sure it was safe for millions of area residents. What was apparently not safe was the chemist. Investigators have officially ruled Angara's death a homicide. The only way into the dark, deep tank was through an opening normally covered with a 4-foot aluminum plate. The cause of death was drowning. Because the Water Commission is a secure facility, all 85 people on the job at the time of the chemist's disappearance are being interviewed. That job won't be completed until next Thursday. Meantime, Gita Angara is being cremated according to Hindu ritual. Still unknown in this bizarre tale is why it took investigators 12 hours to find her body after she was reported missing, why they allowed the victim's brother to drive her car home when it may be part of the investigation, and why a shattered beaker apparently held by the chemist shortly before her death was swept up off the floor at the Water Commission. Also unknown is if Law & Order will ever air the water tank episode. Rita?
All right, Rebecca, thank you very much. And joining me now is Ernie Landanti. He's a spokesman for the Passaic Valley Water Commission. Also, Jeannie McIntosh, who has been covering the story, breaking a lot of scoops from the New York Post newspaper, and also forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Bodden, our favorite, who's with us through the night, and also former homicide detective Rod Wheeler, too. Ernie, let me start with you. I understand you talked to the executive producer with this show, with Law & Order. What did they tell you about if this episode aired?
Actually, Rita, I did not speak to the executive producer there. I don't know when it's going to air, and as your lead-in indicated, it is in fact a very unfortunate incident. Dr. Angara was a model employee. She was committed to science and the facts and ensuring that our customers receive the purest, safest drinking water. Our sympathies and concerns and our condolences are certainly extended to her family.
Well, and it's certainly bizarre. Jeannie, you have some information that it may have already aired, and I thought Ernie or somebody else had gotten that information as well.
Yeah, it's unclear whether it's aired or not. I mean, we were told that it had aired, but, you know, Ernie, if you may know better, but regardless of whether it aired or not,
strange
it's just a
coincidence.
Bizarre coincidence. Yeah,
absolutely. Dr. Bodden, what do you make of this? I mean, that has to be a bizarre clue and an awfully strange coincidence that all of a sudden it happens at the specific location, and now we have a murder that seems to be very similar.
Well, it is quite bizarre. Part of the thing that would be of value to know is what the autopsy findings were. If there were injuries, if there were evidence of a struggle, of strangulation, of rape, that clearly defines the kind of murder it is. If she just fell into the water, one of the problems we have as medical examiners, I'm sure that medical examiners in New Jersey are taking this into consideration, in deep holes like this, oxygen levels go down, and it's possible for somebody to fall down because they're inhaling not enough oxygen to remain conscious.
Although, Ernie, we seem to be getting information that it was a homicide, and again, as Dr. Bodden suggested, we haven't gotten all the details. What have they told you, Ernie?
Well, they haven't told us much, and that's fine, because we want the prosecutor and the investigators to do what they have to do to find the answers that we are all seeking, not just for the folks at the Passaic Valley Water Commission, but Dr. Angara's family deserves answers and deserves them quickly. We want the investigators to do their job.
Have you talked to all the employees? I understand, what, about half of the 85 have been screened?
That's what I hear as well. The employees are legitimately concerned, but I have to tell you, I spoke to the executive director of the Passaic Valley Water Commission to get a sense of what absenteeism was like. He said not only did absenteeism not increase, but he thought that absenteeism actually went down a bit soon after this episode, and I think that is a testament to the employees there who take their obligations seriously and want to do the best job they can.
Although, Rod Wheeler, it seems to be an inside job. I mean, there's surveillance cameras. They don't see anybody else coming or going, so you can say all you want about how great the water system is, but come on, it sounds like it's someone inside.
It does, Rita, and as a matter of fact, I hope the police are looking at every angle and realizing that this case, even though there was a similar situation in terms of the Law and Order episode 6 months ago, we're calling it a coincidence, but I wouldn't be so quick to jump on that bandwagon and say it's definitely a coincidence. There may be a correlation between what happened 6 months ago with the screening of that Law and Order show and this woman's death. So I hope the police are interviewing all the potential suspects right now.
And in the meantime, Jeannie's also trying to talk to some of these folks too. You've gotten a pretty harsh response.
I've gotten I'm sure that in any kind of case like this, that the employees are told, don't talk to the press, that kind of thing. But I tracked down at least a half a dozen people who had worked with Dr. Angara, and it was very, usually people say, oh, gee, I'm sorry, I can't talk, or they'll say, we can tell you this, but don't use our names. But it's go away, get off my front porch, how did you get my address?
Slam the door.
Slam the door, and no comment.
You also found out that this site was on a list of what Homeland Security sites too.
Well, at this point, any water supply that's crucial like this is to an infrastructure of a state or county or these cities. I mean, there are 14, whatever, I think Ernie would know, but 14 cities that depend on this. Those are all, potential security targets. So they would be, protected, presumably, and have security, presumably, because of that.
Well, hopefully we'll get some answers to this. All of you, thank you very much. We appreciate it.